I'm going to start with the most important part of this question, which is the last sentence, which is the actual question. If the customer asks the painter to use a more expensive brand of paint, bougie, which of the factors in the expression would change? And so really what we're going to do is we read through this list here and we ask ourselves, well, if we're using more expensive paint, what of these letters has to be changed? We look at the expression is here. The expression itself isn't really all that important because we see that they're asking about the individual letters, not necessarily the total outcome. N is the number of walls, so that's not going to change based on a higher fee for paint. K is a constant with units of dollars per square foot, and that ends up being our correct answer here, but let's keep looking through the other ones, and then we're going to explain why that's correct. L is the length of each wall in feet, so that won't change, and H is the height of each wall. Well, a test taker could see that, okay, we have three things that are about the same. The number of walls, right? The length of each wall and the height of each wall. So we could see that, okay, there's three things about walls and one thing that isn't, and your savvy test taker will be like, well, it's the one that isn't. I always don't feel comfortable in that situation. I don't always feel comfortable thinking about it that way. What we do want to highlight here is that what makes K tricky is that it does say constant. And the word constant is really what we want to take away from this because we can think of it as never changing. And it's true once you make your expression, right? Like if we know that it's N times K and we know that K is 5, well then that's not going to change. Whereas maybe if you go to a new house, you're going to go to a house with 6 walls or another house with 7 walls, but as long as you're using the same paint, that's what makes it a constant. But now that we're changing the paint itself, the constant in this situation is also changing. And that's what it comes down to. It's that L itself, K itself, even though it's a constant, in this case, it's the one thing that's affected by the price of paint because everything else isn't.